Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Nada Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. I'm your host, Nada Hogan, and today I have the great honor to be with Ruthie Elliott, aka Ruth Elliott Hilsdon. So, same person. And Ruthie, as she became a mom, she realized that that ushers you into a club and it gives you depth of experience and fellowship that all moms share. And Ruthie calls it, I love this, the Brotherhood of Motherhood. And you are never the same and you're better for it. While raising 7 children through a difficult marriage, Ruthie became an Emmy award-winning animation artist. But through it all, her real dream was to influence children everywhere to become better people. In 2003, she began GoMommyGo.com to share tools for positive reinforcement. And in 2007, she founded EDU Designs, a nonprofit that creates media for children's character development. And ever since then, Ruthie has been reaching families with tools that embody love in action. She is also a personal coach, and Ruthie helps women get in touch with things that they have had the hardest time saying. Welcome, Ruthie. I'm so grateful for you being here again.
Thank you, Nada. It's really my pleasure, and I just think you're awesome. You're wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, this is just beautiful. And my gosh, the time just went flying by last time. So I'm going to try to stay focused here. And
Okay.
so I want to pick up where we left off last time because we were talking about how it was that you got into doing children's work. And so you were sharing about your personal story when you were growing up and what you discovered when you were 8 years old. And listeners, please go back and listen to part 1 because it is amazing. And it's what happens to all of us. We can hear something and we can take it the wrong way, or we hear something that is exactly the right way, but that little brain just doesn't have a way to filter it. And so this is where I want to pick up and go with this. So I know that you had an older sister and she got into astrology and everything that your older sister did, you could not get involved in that. That's her gig and you stay away from it. But I want to did you have other siblings or was it just you and your sister?
Well, actually, it was me and first there was my oldest sister, then a middle sister, and then me. And see, that's why by the time I was coming along, my dad was tired of kids.
Yes.
He was saying, this is expensive. Why are we doing this? But then, but so like since I was the littlest, I was the baby. And like, to me, being a child and having the ability to love another human being, it seemed like the biggest goal in the world and the most wonderful thing that if you could bring a child into the world. And I wanted a baby. I wanted a baby so badly when I was like 7 years old. I wanted it, but I knew I was too little. And I had so much love to give. I said, okay, well, geez, what am I going to do? Well, if my mom has a baby, then I can take care of it.
Yes.
So I was outside one day and I saw a shooting star, and it was at night, rather. It was one day at night. I was out at night And I just watched Pinocchio, When You Wish Upon a Star. So I thought, oh, this is my big chance. So I looked up into the sky and I saw the star and I said, what should I wish for, God? What should I wish for? And I said, a baby brother. That's what I want. And then I wanted a baby brother. So I said, oh, please, God. Well, about 3 months later, that's when my mother, I found out she was starting to look a little fat.
Yeah.
I guess it was, I don't know if it was 3 months later or whenever, but anyway, she was pregnant, and that was my little baby brother. And it was due to that experience when I asked her if she was getting fat, and she said, no, I'm afraid I might be pregnant. I thought, pregnant, yay! I'm gonna get my baby brother.
Yes.
And I was so excited. And then she said, but your dad isn't very happy about it. And so I said, what? How can he not be happy about it? I mean, to me, babies were joy.
Yeah.
And so she says, well, he wants me to have an abortion. Now, this is terrible. She shouldn't have told me, but she was in such a devastated state of emotional, she was really at a low point that time.
Yeah.
And so that's when she revealed to me, unfortunately, that, well, I said, what's an abortion? And she said, well, that's when they take the baby out.
Yeah.
I said, no, they can't. That's my baby brother. And I said, please don't let him do that. And I told her, I said, I'll help you. I'll stay up and I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'll feed him. I'll do everything. Just don't get rid of my baby brother. And she said, well, it's against the law, so I don't want to do it anyway. But your dad is upset. And that's when he said, when she told me he wanted me to be an abortion as well. And I thought, all of a sudden I felt, oh my gosh, my life is in danger and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So I was so upset that but I told I told her, I'm sorry, somebody's trying to call me. Let me get rid of this.
Oh.
Okay. So, but anyway, at any rate, so that's, but my mother had the baby. Now this is where God comes in so amazingly. It ends up that years and years and years later, my little brother was the one who was the closest to my dad of all the kids. And he became an engineer, and my dad was an engineer. And so it all worked out that my little brother ended up being the biggest blessing to my dad that he could have ever wished for and that he didn't want the most.
Wow.
So just goes to show you, sometimes the things that you think are going to be the biggest hard work are actually your biggest blessings that you're, lucky to have.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. That is so beautiful. I love that. That gives me goosebumps.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
fabulous. Wow. So do you,
anyway,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, I guess you asked me what you were going to ask me because I kind of lost track of where we were going.
Well, and I know because I'm telling you, our conversations, they are so much fun. I love these. And I'm wondering, because at 8 years old, I think you said at 8 years old, as this young child, you just knew how you just had all of this love to give. And there's not very many children that I remember running across my age that would just know that I just have so much love to give. And it still exudes from you because the work that you do and being such a beautiful artist and the work that you do with women and with children, and you had 7 gorgeous kids. So let me find out a little bit about your children. Did you raise them full of all of this love and excitement?
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. Now, this is what's so amazing. When I knew I wanted a lot of children, right? And at first, when in my marriage, when I had one child, I knew I wanted more than one, at least, because even though it was a lot of work, I just wanted the children to have the experience of having siblings. And so even though I was a little bit, my ambition to have 13 kids had sort of dwindled a little bit, but still, so I ended up with 7. But still, after I had the first one, I thought, oh, ideally, I wanted them to be about 2 years apart. And my daughter was almost, well, she would be 2 pretty soon. So I had, thought, well, gee, I should have another one. Well, this is what's so amazing. I ran across this lady who was psychic in Santa Barbara, and she's actually a very famous psychic that helps the police solve crimes and all kinds of things. Well, wow. She told me about this vision that a lady had had, who there was a church where the Blessed Virgin was appearing on the church, and they could a whole bunch of people could see this vision of Mary up above the temple of the steeple, but nobody could hear what she was saying. Well, she got on her knees and started praying and heard what the Blessed Mother was saying. And when this lady told me what she said, that what the lady had said was that she had these big tears coming out of her eyes, and she said that the Blessed Mother was really sad because there were all these great souls that wanted to come to Earth, but that people were aborting them.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I thought, of course, me having been one of the ones that almost didn't make it.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
One of the ones that almost got aborted. I thought, oh my God, there's all these dear souls that want to come in. And so that night I prayed and I said, God, if you have some unwanted babies that wanted to come in but didn't get a chance, please send them to me. So
wow.
I prayed and prayed. And that night I had a dream that I went to the heavenly nursery, and this lady who actually had just passed on, and she had in real life had been in charge of the unwed mothers company or something. She said, I have some unwanted babies. Would you like to see them? And so first she brought me this little girl, and the girl was beautiful with little curls and reddish blondish hair, but she was crying. I said, oh, and I already had a little girl. So then she said, but we also have a little boy. Would you like to see the little boy? And I said, yes, I'll see the little boy. She brought out this gorgeous little boy who was smiling from ear to ear and just so full of love. And I picked him up in my arms and I held him. And I said, oh, I got to have this baby. What's his name? And she said, Jonathan. Well, it turned out that in the dream, I ran out with the baby in my arms to my husband at the time, who was outside, and I said, there's this little baby we got to have. Then I woke up. Well, it turns out that I got pregnant, but it was 4 months later, and there were like all these every month I didn't get pregnant. I was so sad. But the 4th month I got pregnant.
Yes. Wow.
And I had the baby, but so it ended up, it was a boy. That was way back when we didn't have sonograms, and it turns out that we named him Jonathan. What else are you gonna name him? So, but anyway, but every time before I'd get pregnant, I would have a dream that would tell me something about this child that was one of the spirits that was coming down to Earth. And it's so weird, but anyway, that's another story.
That's so cool. Right now, wow.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, my goodness, I feel so blessed that all the kids are still, they're still managing to survive and thrive. Really, they're doing okay. I mean, sometimes they have troubles, but don't we all, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And it's the troubles that lead us to, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't end up with this thing that led me because of my trouble. So it always works out in our behalf. Always.
Yes.
Yes.
Always does.
Oh, man. Wow. So the group that you have that you're working with, Ruthie, that that where you have the EDU Designs, the nonprofit. That how
Yes.
did that come about?
Well, after I retired from animation, I mean, the whole time I was working on other people's cartoons, when I was working at Disney, Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera, a lot of times I'd look at these stories and I'd think to myself, well, what are they doing to make kids to be better people?
Yeah.
And sometimes they were just like pure entertainment and not really giving any kind of message of wisdom or teaching, you know? And
Yeah.
so I thought, gee, when I grow up, I'm going to make my own cartoons.
Yes, I
So,
love it.
yeah. And so I really had the dream always to create media for kids' character development. And then when I retired, I started EDU Designs for just that purpose, so that I could share some of the things that I've learned. And one of the most important things that I did right off the bat was create an art textbook for children, because in this art textbook, it basically is teaches drawing tips, but interspersed in the stories, there's like a story that goes through the whole art book about a little squirrel that I rescued and raised him from a baby. And so how he grows from being a little baby with his eyes closed and can't see anything and just learns how to feel his way along is just like what we do in art.
Yeah.
So the art book teaches like character development. As he grows and learns, we're growing and learning in art. So my art textbook is something that I offer. And if anybody contacts me and mentions that they heard me on Nada's podcast, then I will give them more than it's a discount. Instead of $37 for the book, I'm going to give them the book for $15 if they mention your name, that they heard it on your podcast. So that's something that I wanted to offer everyone. So
that's
but
fabulous. Thank you.
Yes. And so but what's so amazing and wonderful that doing this art textbook, and then when I go to schools, I tell kids, I always give them like little stories and anecdotes and funny things that make a point, because the whole thing is just like, there's no purpose unless we're actually learning something in what we're doing, you know. So we combine art and education along with the character development. So it's really fun. We have a lot of fun.
Man, how lucky the schools are and the children are to have you. What a blessing. That is such a beautiful blessing. I am, if I had kids, I'd make sure that they were at the school that you were going to go to and teach. So fabulous.
Well, it's a great. You can still enjoy it, you know, even if you're just a kid at heart, right?
Yes.
An 80-year-old lady who read my art book, and she said, it's good for 80-year-olds too.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I will absolutely be checking that out for sure. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Yes. And Ruthie, I know that we're going to start running out of time, and I want to make sure that I touch on this, because one of the things that so grabbed me with you is you play on Facebook with your husband. I don't know how often you do it. I just don't. I randomly catch you on there, but you play different instruments. So you're not only an animation artist, and then if you made this book, so there's art all in bookmaking, but also as a musician. And so one of the things that I want to ask you is, so it's a two-part question: what instruments do you play? And number two, your husband was saying something, I don't remember, maybe a month ago, when you guys were playing, that there was a song that you were singing, and one of the Beach Boys heard you singing that song and said, that's going to be a big hit. So I'm dying to know, what was the story with the
Oh,
Beach Boys, and
okay. Yes.
what instruments do you play?
Okay. I play the banjo, the guitar, and a little bit of piano,
Oh,
but mostly the guitar. And
okay.
but so like my first husband, and by the way, the one we play every Friday on Facebook, we play a live show on my Facebook page, is with my new husband, who is, well, he's not really new. We've been married for like 6 or 7 years, but
Okay.
we we my first husband passed away, and after he passed away, then I met
Oh,
my second husband.
oh,
And God is merciful, because when I want to make this quick, so we don't miss anything. But when my first husband died, and I was like so full of like all the feelings that
oh.
I'd had. It, God restored so much to me
Mm.
with my second husband. He's like the dessert at the end of my life. I just feel
Oh.
so blessed, because I had so many problems with the first marriage, and then he is just wonderful. So we get to play music together, and he's very
Yeah.
cool, and I love him. Anyway,
Oh.
so we have a great time. But the reason why I met the Beach Boys, and that was an interesting thing, where like those little things were like, gee, if I hadn't done this one thing, then that wouldn't happen, and this wouldn't happen. Well,
Yes.
the reason why I met the Beach Boys was all because it ended up that we helped a friend to move, and in helping my friend to move, Diana Coburn, who's a wonderful author herself, I was helping her move, and one of her paintings on the wall that I was carrying to the truck was of her brother's. And I looked
Mm.
at his artwork, and I thought, he's good. I could do that too. I said, how's your brother doing? And she said, oh, he's fine. He's working at Hanna-Barbera and making $350 a week. And that was way back in 70 or 60 something or other. Anyway, so I thought, wow, and I can draw as good as he can. Why can't I work at Hanna-Barbera? So, well, it ended up, I got his phone number and ended up working at Hanna-Barbera eventually. So,
Awesome.
but the Beach Boy thing was that my friend Diana happened to be the secretary for the Beach Boys at that time.
Oh.
And so my husband and I happened to meet. Um, Gosh, it was that's another. How we met him was another story where I ended up. I'm trying to condense like all 30 years into 1 minute.
Yeah.
Well, my first husband had a friend that we was a mutual friend that owed us $40. And so he lived in Santa Barbara back when, and we lived in LA back when gas was 25 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And so he called him up and said, hey, my husband called him up and said, hey, about $40? I could really use it right now. So he said, well, come up and see me. So we went up to see him, and we drove all the way to Santa Barbara on our 25 cents a gallon gas. And when we got there, he said, I'm sorry, I don't have the $40.
Oh,
But
no.
he said, but I'll introduce you to my friend Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
Oh, wow. No
And
kidding.
yeah, Mike Love lived in Santa Barbara at that time. So we went over, we had a great lunch with him, we had fun, we had such a great time, and Mike loved us. And we, just had such a great time that 2 weeks later he asked my late husband if he could work for him and be his personal property manager. And then 6 years we lived there in Santa Barbara and worked for Mike, and got to meet all the Beach Boys and friends with all of them, and played music. And I got offered an exclusive songwriting contract, which I did not take, but it was an honor to be offered it. So,
Yes, man. Ah,
It's fun.
Ruthie, you've lived such a colorful life and you have so many more wonderful years and so many more beautiful things to share with the world. But my gosh, what a colorful life. I could sit here and talk to you forever, and we are completely out of time again.
Oh,
It
thank you.
amazes
Thank you.
me.
Thank you.
Oh,
Well, maybe
goodness.
we can chop out some of the boring parts.
No, none of it was boring. Absolutely
Oh,
none of it is boring. You
thank
just
you.
I just love the love that you are just such light and such love, and it's just beautiful, and I can only
Oh,
imagine the people that are in your orbit, how good they feel, because I told you, I've listened to you and your now husband playing on the Friday night, but I think I caught it on a Saturday morning. I was just gonna listen to a little, I was in a hurry, and I ended up listening to the whole
oh,
entire hour, and it was like, it was so
oh,
happy. It's just happy. And
oh, thank
yes.
you.
So I will share, if you're okay with that, I will share your page
Yeah,
also in the
I
show
would
notes.
love
So
that.
yes, because you two are adorable together,
Oh,
and it
thank
just feels
you.
good to be in that energy, even though I'm just watching it through a Facebook recorded video and I don't catch it live. So,
Wow, that's
uh,
great.
yes,
Thank you
yes,
so much. That's what that's all we hope for. That you
yeah,
bring some joy.
yes, and you do. You absolutely do.
Thank
So,
you so much.
Ruthie Elliott Hillsdon, I am just honored to have you with me, and I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're still sharing your light and love, and I'm so very grateful that you were here and doing it with me and the audience, and I just can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart.
Well,
Thank you.
Nada, thank you, thank you, thank you, and I am looking forward to being able to uh, do some kind of interview if you'll let me interview you sometime as a featured guest on our spirit-led supermoms
Oh, I
interviews. 'Cause I you are so special, and you didn't get a word in edgewise hardly.
Oh my
So this
goodness.
was
No, this
I
was
want.
perfect. I wanted to know about you. This is exactly how it was supposed to be, and I would be
Well,
honored to
thank
be
you.
on your show.
Well,
Yeah.
good. Then I'll get to hear all about you next
Yeah.
time.
Yes. Well, thank you again so
Okay.
much, and to all of the
You're
listeners,
welcome.
thank you, and you just cannot listen to this and not just feel uplifted and happy, and that's the joy that Ruthie brings. So the book discounted down to $15 by mentioning being on
Yes,
this podcast or listening to this podcast. All of that
that's
information
right.
will be in the show notes, and thank you for that great offer. That's very generous of you, and thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ruthie. I'm
Thank you.
grateful. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nada. I sure appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So much love to everybody. Much love to you, Ruthie. Have a beautiful week, and we will be back again next week. Bye bye for now.
Okay. That sounds good. Bye-bye.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please go to nadahogan.com for show notes and other information you can use right away. If you like what you heard here, please subscribe to our show and don't forget to rate and review right there on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your shows. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. We'll see you next week.